Returning to theaters for its 10th anniversary, Interstellar immediately became one of the highest-grossing IMAX re-releases in history. The massive gravitational pull of Interstellar is truly no less than that of the gargantua black hole that Cooper and his teammates risked their lives to explore. Its timeless questions continuously twist the audience's mind, with a script meticulous to the second. And upon rewatching, I must confess that director Nolan's masterpiece, after a decade, is still full of surprises. The film doesn't just invite us to dissect the definition of time through physical hypotheses, but also turns it into a finite resource as human civilization on Earth prepares for its end. In those circumstances, what will we, a species bound by the linearity of time, do? Will we try our best to cling to the present, merely delaying death, or accept sacrificing the few remaining moments in hopes of finding a way out of the cruel flow called time? And is the key to overcoming that invisible deadline found in numbers? Or does it come from something no one expected, like love? They are all crazy questions, aren't they? Today, let's join movie buffs in boarding the Endurance space station once again, to enter the infinite darkness of the universe in Interstellar, letting its overwhelming nature entwine with our minds. From there, let's find for ourselves reflections on time, something so familiar yet so distant. Everything begins with a man named Cooper, a former pilot, astronaut, and engineer who once worked for NASA, now wasting his talent on farming. The reason is that in the year 2067, Earth is no longer a friendly place for mankind. Continuous dust storms arrive, bringing extreme climates along with widespread blight, destroying crops, making food sources severely scarce. To solve the problem, the government disbanded the military, NASA, and a series of other important organizations. Now, all resources are focused solely on farming, prioritizing immediate food. However, increasing production is only a temporary solution. In just a few years, corn, the only remaining food source, will not be able to withstand the harsh weather and blight. At that time, humanity will face a massive risk, joining the dinosaurs in the afterlife. Amidst the desperate moments, a strange event suddenly occurs. Murph, Cooper's daughter, accidentally witnesses books in her room falling from the shelves on their own, without anyone touching them. Initially, Cooper thinks his daughter is imagining it, but thanks to a layer of dust, he realizes a mysterious gravitational force exists in the room, and the bookshelf is sending a message encoded in binary. Solving the puzzle yields a coordinate. Cooper and Murph find their way to a secret facility of the re-established NASA organization, where they are nurturing a grand plan and desperately need a seasoned pilot like Cooper. Yearning to once again take the helm and fly into space, the father hesitates between staying on Earth to care for Murph or entering the darkness of the universe to search for a suitable planet as a new home for humans. Throughout the film, we see the pressure of time weighing on each character as the crux leading to every conflict, and the way they react to it also poses an interesting question. Between the present and the future, which is more important? And to keep what is important, what are we willing to sacrifice? Through the opening scenes when Cooper attends a parent-teacher meeting for his daughter, we see that the majority of people believe the present is most important. This is shown through the US government revising textbooks, which denies the Apollo 11 mission and Neil Armstrong setting the first foot on the moon, claiming it was just a media trick to deceive the Soviet Union into wasting their resources on useless machines. In reality, this move was to limit human dreaming, specifically for scientists like Cooper. Indeed, for the Chapu generation, food is priority number one. Farming is the most urgent profession. The current Earth needs its belly filled to see tomorrow, before looking up at the sky and continuing to dream of the stars. The logic is very tight. The teachers at school represent the miserable people who believe in the importance of the present, even if it costs the creative atrophy of the next generation. On the opposite side, we have Cooper, Dr. Brand, and the scientists at the new NASA. They believe a life merely for survival is a waste. Civilization has developed to where it is today, thanks to pioneering torches daring to step into the darkness and seek things no one has known. Great explorations and shocking inventions must originate from commitment and imagination. Mankind was born on Earth, it was never meant to die here, Cooper says. For him, the future is what human eyes should look toward. not just looking down at the ground. According to the stories, we also know that 12 astronauts before Cooper also sacrificed themselves to explore 12 alien planets to find a new home for mankind. And with 3 positive signals, corresponding to 3 potential planets, sent back, it is the protagonist's turn to step up. This is not a journey of a day or two. Every time they visit a planet, time dilation will make the age gap between him and Murph differ. 1 hour of Cooper on a strange land could be exchanged for decades on Earth. By the time I get back, we might be the same age. Cooper's goodbye to his daughter makes every viewer feel sorrow. But ultimately, he still chooses to leave, still sacrificing his family's current happiness, so his daughter can not only see tomorrow, but also see a promising new era. As Newton's third law of physics is also mentioned suggestively in the film. When one object exerts a force on a second object, the second object exerts a force of equal magnitude and opposite direction on the first, implying that if you want to have enough force to go somewhere, you have to leave something behind. Or understood metaphorically, both Cooper and the people back on Earth chose something they deemed important and accepted the price to be paid. Passing through the wormhole that bends space, the lives of both father and daughter from here on change and separate. Initially, Cooper's ideals completely dominate, and we are almost immediately convinced that the thorny path he takes is the right one. The scientists represent the great cause, and this is humanity's next great exploration. However, the protagonist's faith collapses when the second act of the film reveals that the plan to build a spacecraft to take humanity to a new planet was just a scam. In reality, the mission of Cooper's crew was to find a home for 5,000 frozen embryos brought on board, to build a completely new civilization. Indeed, the Endurance space station is the biblical Noah's Ark, and all the people on Earth are the lizard's tail being cut off. At this point, the audience and Cooper realize the dark side of the ideal of sacrificing the present for the future. It doesn't just simply take away his time with his family, but their very lives and the moral values that make a human being. Everything is left behind to prioritize the mission of species preservation. Abandoning hope in the motherland, the decision of NASA led by Professor John Brand becomes somewhat extreme. This is also clearly shown through another character, Dr. Mann, played by Matt Damon. Despite passing through the wormhole before Cooper's group, Mann is always mentioned as an outstanding individual who inspired others to follow him. He has no family on Earth, no ties, and from there focuses 100% on the mission of developing a new civilization. For a man of science, this is considered a perfect role model, rational enough to make difficult decisions. Of course, despite being cold-blooded, the necessity of the mission cannot be denied. Similar to Brand's question about the cruelty of nature, when a lion tears apart an antelope, is it considered cruel? The scientists simply came up with the only solution they could think of. Clinging to that belief, man throws away morality, dignity, and judgment because he thinks the future is most important. However, in a completely ironic way, man is ultimately the one who fears death and betrays his noble words. Realizing the planet he landed on was only rocks and cold snow, he surrendered, faking data to call for a rescue team. I really like how director Nolan turns an exploration ultimately into a man's journey to find his way back, and the past turns from a burden into fuel for hope. Stepping toward the future with love in his heart, Murph's presence is what gave Cooper the motivation that man completely lacked. Inside the infinite black hole, the deep underlying meaning finally reveals itself. Cooper falls into a 5-dimensional space constructed from every second and minute he and Murph had in that small room years ago. Holding the data on the black hole's singularity, strangely, the key to the future is actually old memories, encoding all the information humanity does not yet know into the movement of the watch he personally gave his daughter. The path to saving humanity makes us think deeply about the question of present and future. What holds us back, and what pushes us forward? If, like the majority of people on Earth, humanity will lead each other into the abyss, but if we go all in on the escape mission with 5,000 frozen embryos, discarding morality and judgment, have we also lost a part of our humanity, the thing that made us human? With scientists like man, they chose to amputate the past and present, only to be transformed and commit actions they themselves cannot forgive. Buried in immediate worries, people like Tom, Cooper's eldest son, and the farmers only focus on meals and discard the hope that the future can still be saved. In this rewatch, I also have a different view of the eldest son, who is always considered less intelligent than his sister. Stuck in the past, he would rather die on the land where he was born than live hiding in NASA's bunkers. We see that even though the dust storm has caused both his wife and child lung injuries, Tom remains conservative, staying at the house his father passed down to him. Rigid, but not impossible to empathize with a person who has despaired. As for Cooper and Murph, two individuals representing both intellect and love, two people who cherished memories of each other and never gave up hope in the future, they suffer the loss of the present. Cooper had to leave to get the data in the black hole. Murph had to continue studying to be strong enough to solve the gravity equation. Separation is the only way they save each other, and by the time father and daughter reunite, Murph is already nearing the end of her life. The past is the foundation of the present. The present is the foundation of the future. And then tomorrow's achievements are only complete if the purpose of reaching them is for love and the people we want to protect. Like the five-dimensional space at the end of the film, time in Interstellar still twists and tangles, leaving us with many questions rather than answers. No character's ideal is completely right, and no villain is completely wrong. Everyone is tormented by time, and the scene of Cooper sitting and crying in the cabin of the space station will forever be a classic sequence to remind us of the cruelty of choices, of the moments we give up for ideals that we can never get back. Beyond time, there's another contrast embedded in Interstellar. That is how people like Mann, Cooper, and Brand or Murph perceive science. For Mann, numbers say it all, with physical laws that have proven their immutability over hundreds of years. Mann, along with the veteran Professor John Brand, came to the conclusion that humanity was beyond saving, and quickly approved the plan to take 5,000 embryos into space. In contrast, the faith of Cooper, Brand, and Murph, though I dare not say right or wrong, is expressed right in this line from the little girl. Dad said science was about admitting what we don't know. Indeed, for Murph, the problem wasn't unsolvable, but rather not yet solvable. This difference in perception, when one side thinks there are limits humanity cannot cross, and conversely one side holds a fierce faith that the answer is already there in its place, just waiting for us to take it. Ultimately, the journey of Interstellar, by honoring Murph's success, affirms director Nolan's belief that humanity always has a way to overcome the limits that bind us. Look at the subtle way the film opened. It is a work heavy on scientific theory, but in the first 10 minutes, the most mentioned word is ghost, the thing that pushed the books on Murph's shelf to the floor. Of course, ghosts are certainly not a favorite concept for scientists, and initially, Jim Cooper did not believe in that spiritual entity either. But later, we all know the ghost was Cooper. It was the five-dimensional space that allowed him to act from the past. So it's not that the ghost wasn't real, but that at the starting point of the film, we could not explain its existence. Murph's faith in the ghost is also an embedded detail, predictive in nature. When at the end, despite no one believing in the existence of the answer to the gravity equation, her hope remained unshaken. Not only that, many times it goes even further when posing hypotheses about something that has puzzled humanity for thousands of years, even more than that ghost, which is love. This is clearly shown through a dialogue between Dr. Amelia Brand and Cooper, when the whole crew is choosing a planet to land on. Because fuel is limited, along with time dilation, if they choose the wrong planet, the whole group will waste decades in vain. While Cooper is dead set on the signal Mann sent from his planet, Brand hesitates and wants to choose Edmund's planet, named after the astronaut who sacrificed himself to explore, and was also the man Brand loved. The female scientist admits her choice is partly influenced by wanting to see Edmunds again. Of course, this is considered an emotional act lacking scientific evidence. However, Brand's subsequent counter-arguments will probably become the segment I remember most in Interstellar. As Cooper explains, love is something with a social function, helping to bond and raise children. But Brand negates that, arguing that the love we have for an individual, even when they are no longer in this world, has no social function at all. In contrast, the fact that two people billions of light years apart still have feelings for each other proves that love is the only thing we can feel, transcending both space and time. Completely crazy, right? But just like the ghost, it simply cannot be explained yet. And also completely ironic, at the end, in all three journeys, only Edmund's place is suitable for humans to live. Of course, we can call it luck or a coincidence, but it cannot be denied that this time Bran's heart pointed in the right direction. All the above dialogue is also a prediction for the final scene, when inside the Gargantua black hole, the only way for Cooper to send quantum data to Murph is through love. As it turns out, the future beings, or the force that placed the wormhole near Saturn to help humanity, could not communicate with us. Therefore, they chose the father and daughter with the belief that a father-child bond strong enough could communicate across the limits of space-time. In five-dimensional space, where time exists in physical form, love is the same. It can be quantified, because in infinite moments, the father follows his intuition to find the key moment. And on the other side, once again, intuition, love, nostalgia, or any name to call this connection, brought Murph back to the old room, picking up the watch. Gravity can travel through time, and so can love. Sending Morse code into the watch hand, Cooper sends the lifebuoy back to humanity, and also sends the infinite love he has for his little daughter on the other side of the universe. Is love the unique means of communication for humans through the massive gravity of a black hole? Interstellar is not here to say whether it's real or not, but whether it is possible or not. As the name Murph, named after strong Murphy's Law, was also mentioned in the film, whatever can happen, will happen. Humanity once wished to run as fast as cheetahs, now we are faster than any cheetah. We once wished to fly like birds, now we can fly higher than any winged species. Who knows, there will come a time when we can wander among the stars, laying foundations for five-dimensional spaces. Who knows, love is truly such a great force that we can call to each other through the infinite darkness of the universe. To believe in it or not is entirely each viewer's decision. A film that joins the ranks of the best science fiction works of all time. Although always admired for its accuracy, to me personally, Interstellar is more like a film about dreams, the thing that has always been the drive pulling civilization past its limits. To end the video, I would like to quote the poem by strong Dylan Thomas that Professor John Brand read as a prayer for the whole crew before entering space. It reminds us that even though the darkness is peaceful, even though the future is dim and death seems unavoidable, always cling to life, cling to hope, just as Cooper, Brand, and Murph never stopped believing in an escape for humanity.